Welcome back. So, today we're going to talk about prioritizing. And we hear this all the time where you say, what is your priority? What are you focused on? What are you working on? And I don't think anybody's really explained clearly what does it mean to have a priority and can you have more than one? So, welcome, our best self. My name's James DeLucia. I built several businesses. I mentor and have coached many, I think 1,000 plus. And here we share tactics, methods, proven ways to better ourselves, whether that's our business or whether that's our personal life. So, welcome. Let's jump right in. What is number one on your priority list? What is the most important thing you have happening in your life? If you had to task and say, this is most important, then this is less important, then this, et cetera, et cetera. You often hear from people, they will say, well, everything's important. My family's important. My health is important. My business is important. My team is important. But the truth is, whatever you're trying to grow, you're trying to make better, you're trying to be a good dad, you're trying to be a good mom, you're trying to build your startup. If everything is important, nothing will be achieved. There has to be some prioritization. If you want to succeed as being a parent or a founder or a team member, if everything is most important, nothing will be achieved. That's just a fact. You cannot achieve goals if everything is number one because everything is being squeezed and you're losing your focus and energy. Momentum is associated with that. They have this phrase where it takes 10,000 hours for you to become an expert. Okay. Well, that's a lot of years. Well, if you're doing 5 things at once, how many decades is that? But it's interesting. If you don't need to be the best, if you need to be maybe better than 95% of the people in the world, well, then you only need 15 minutes a day. That's pretty wild, isn't it? But again, you have to prioritize. What is most important? And when we think about this and we look at our to-do items, we must recognize that some things are definitely more important than others. But some things are probably like, it's a pretty close tie, right? Like, my ability to be a great parent is, I would say, number one compared to maybe building my business. But you know what's interesting? And this is a hack. So if you're trying to prioritize and try to put things in order, and you have more than one thing that is important to you, well, think about the times of day and then overlay your priorities. So for instance, for me to be a good dad, my daughter is awake certain hours of the day. Therefore, those hours that she is awake and she is with me, but not at school, well, then she is the most important thing. That's the same way I prioritize my time with my wife and our other kids and our family, right? Like if I am with family and we're there for 3 hours for a Sunday dinner, that time they are most important. I will push everything else until I'm done with that window of time. And that's very possible when we're dealing with small blocks of time, a couple hours at a time, right? So if you want to be a great mom and dad and your kids are home and awake between 6:30 and 8, great. Make them number one. It's very easy to prioritize for an hour and a half, 2.5 hour block and just be 100% focused and just savoring your time there. And then when they go to school or they're in the camp or whatever they're doing, whether with family, they're with friends, well, now you've got a new window, a new context, a new time when you have a different priority, right? So maybe that moment then is, I'm going to work on my startup. I'm going to write my book. I'm going to do my workout because I'm trying to beat, having illnesses. Whatever it is, suddenly, if you lay across the day, the different, I would say, ability to prioritize, your ability to prioritize your time with your daughter is easy when it's in a certain window of time. Well, then any other time can be with any of these other priorities. That's fantastic. So if you're trying to prioritize three number ones in your day, what you need to do is say, do all of these need to happen at the same time, or can they happen at different times? And if they can happen at different times, well, now you can have kind of buckets of priorities, and you can do that. You can excel at that. But if one of those number one priorities conflicts with the other, well, now you have to sequence them. Now you have to make one number one and one number two, right? Maybe your health has to prioritize over your work so that you can work more and live a longer life. Maybe your work needs to prioritize above maybe sometimes some of your health. Maybe you got to travel more. That might be where you are. But how do you decide that? If you're trying to prioritize things, how do you decide what order to put them in? Or which ones to even think about? What should you even be prioritizing? This is how you do it. If you were to prioritize your life by thinking of the following. First off, number one, what goes on top? If you have the answer, great, put it on top. If for me, it's my daughter, great. What keeps you up at night? What are you waking up? What are you having cold sweats about? What are you dreaming nightmares about? What are you going to bed and waking up about? Like, what keeps you up at night? That's clearly a priority. It needs to be tackled. It needs to be eliminated. Make it a priority. What puts food on your table if you don't deliver? That's a good number one, right? If you have to do an action, close a deal, make a sale, do something, you got to put food on the table. Well, so let's do it. What will end and never return / repeat? Now, this one's important. This one's, you can easily frame it around maybe your daughter is playing games and she wants you to join you. Well, those play dates with your daughter or with your son, they will never come back. There will be a different version in the future. I haven't been able to lay down on the ground and play with Barbies and have them all pack up and go to the beach for years. And, I miss them. But I gave them maximum time. And I'm very proud of that. But that's an example of something that will end and it will never return. So maybe prioritize those things, those once in a lifetime moments. Another thing you should think about if you're trying to prioritize 1, 2, and 3, what needs to happen today to build your dream future? Today, you might need to take 30 minutes every day to make sure that in 3 years from now, you are living where you want to live, you're healthier, you're more educated, you're happier, maybe you're a better caregiver, whatever it is. Think about that small investment today that serves tomorrow. And finally, what keeps you healthy and extends the quality of your life? Training, smart food, sleeping well, taking care of yourself. Those cannot be negotiated. If you don't take care of them, you accumulate wear and tear, where in your 50s, your 60s, you will not be enjoying life. You will become a liability to your family and your friends and your family, friends, and kids. So basically, once you go through these questions, you then can prioritize by racking them, stacking them, and then accepting the truth. And I hate to say it that way, but you have to accept the truth that based on how you observe these priorities, some things, are going to have to get off the plate. They're not going to be number one. They're not going to be number two. They might be number 5. And you know what? When you're living your day, number 1 gets done, then 2, then 3. And as you have more time and you have more opportunity in that day, maybe you get to 4. Maybe you get to 5. But no matter what, you have to get the most important done. When you're thinking about this, and you are living your stacked priorities, when you're living and embodying the standards that you choose, you have to be cautious of other people and their opinions and their voices. If you are afraid of being derailed off of your path of a high quality life to achieving your best self, you must not take the opinion of others on your life. Specifically, when we're prioritizing, we absolutely welcome insights and intelligence that we can consider when we are prioritizing. But only after we have internalized, meaning we've taken what they have shared, data points, thoughts, considerations, we've internalized and analyzed ourselves, then we make a decision. Once we prioritize that, we're great. We're not looking for people's opinions that we choose to live our life in a certain way. We are open to the intelligence and insight so that we can process and maybe reprioritize. But too often, I see individuals having to defend themselves for why they chose to read a book and maybe get a degree and learn a new skill, a new craft, when their buddies and friends are like, hey, why don't you come to the game and drink? Or when you're eating healthy food that you made or you grew, and people are like, oh, just have some chips. It doesn't matter. It absolutely matters, because you have prioritized your life and what matters to you and the actions you take. And you're setting a standard for yourself. And I think that's one thing you must protect. You must recognize that your prioritization and your choices represent your standards. And how you live your life, how you deal with these, how you execute these, how you are truthful to these, is the ultimate demonstration, role model for your kids, leadership quality for your team and your customers. They see the integrity of you. They see the actions that you're doing. Protect those behaviors and standards by living and adhering to the priorities that you set. We must maintain that. Your priorities can never wait a moment. If you want to grow, have a healthy life, and be happy, you must recognize right now that what you need to do needs to happen right now. You need to give every bit of attention to the moment at this point. We must focus our energy, our passion, and give our best effort. My daughter actually wrote something on the wall for me. It says, I did good today. And then it says, thanks for giving me that effort. Effort is what matters. We're not always going to get the wins every day. You're going to eat well. You're going to live your best life every day. Yeah, you're not going to see results every day, but you are going to give your best effort, and you can be proud of that. We want to make sure that we act now and we push until the end. We want our outcomes and results to speak for themselves. We're not trying to demonstrate it to anybody else, but we know if we put the time in, we put the best effort we can, and we drive our focus on what we can control, which is how we prioritize, how we execute, the results are going to speak for themselves. We're going to live and enjoy the results. You're going to live a happy and healthy life because you prioritize that. You're going to be a better father, better mother. You're going to be that person who you really are inside. But through this discipline, through this action of prioritizing smartly, right? Context of time and being prioritized based off of how important those things are to us and how they're going to affect our long-term life. That is why we prioritize. It is for us to live our best self. So, I hope this is really resonating with you. I hear this question a lot. I talk to a lot of people about what goes first, how do I prioritize? Take these tools, these concepts, these questions, the framing that I presented, and apply it. Put a comment down, subscribe, share this with someone you think will benefit from this, and let's just get better. Let's individually get better at holding our standards based on the priorities that we need, based on our own personal goals. You got this. Have an amazing day.